Boat reflections. Here we go. You know, starting a new painting can be rather intimidating. I think the best thing we can do is just simply get started. So here we are, we've got our reference photo. We've done some color recipes. For this painting, I'm going to be using primarily burnt sienna, burnt umber, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, and Prussian blue. I made a last minute decision and mixed up Prussian blue for the overall feel of the blue water. Now I know that cobalt blue would be a better match, but I'm gonna see if I can transcend my colors into something a little different. So maybe making my own interpretation. The other thing I did mix up would be a little bit of Viridian and sap green, and this is yellow ochre. I'm going to use some bigger brushes, and I've been mixing paint. So I've got the two jars. This one is my dirty water jar, and of course this one is the clean water. This is a number 10 Scepter Gold, number 2 series Winsor Newton brush. A large brush. I'm going to put this aside. The other brushes I'm going to be using would be possibly the Aqua Elite. This is an angle shader, but it will allow me to get some nice edges. This is a Grumbacher. It's a wash brush. It's a 1.5. I'm on my feet for this one, and I'm gonna move some of these things out of the way. My color note. This was my transfer going horizontal, and I made the decision to go vertical. I really think the story is in the reflections. So that has a little something to do with the title. I did use a kneaded eraser to clean this up a little bit because I am using the back of another painting for this. So let's begin. I've got my photo just for inspiration. It's right here. I'm going to paint with a paper towel in one hand and my paintbrushes in the other. Now, I've got this wadded up paper towel because I'm going to be working with the blues and the greens and dropping in some of the yellow ochre. This wadded up paper towel is going to help me get those clouds that are going to run right through here. So let's begin. I am not wetting the paper. I'm just going for the color. And already, I think I like that Prussian blue. I'm putting it down with confidence. A little more up here. And I'll pick up my puddles here in a little bit. Very often, now, let's just see if I have enough. Well, I'm going to add just the teeniest bit. Let's see if it'll work here. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now, while it's still wet, I'm going to add a little more color at the top. I am on my feet, everyone. You know, painting sometimes is physical. I like to say that. And I'm pleased with the Prussian. We might add a little more. All right, let's drop in some of this green. It's wet with color. Using different sides of my brush. Just getting started. Now on the other side, I'm changing up the color. To the Prussian. I don't know about you, but I'm excited about that Prussian blue. I'm dropping some in over here, working with some of the marks that have already been made, and trying to see into them. Still on my feet, cleaning up puddles. I like what's happening here. And what I'm gonna do is I am gonna lift a little more of the clouds just to see what will happen. It's pretty subtle, isn't it? But I know if I start playing with these clouds, it would be a disaster, because you don't, at some point, you have to let everything dry. Still trying to get a little more color up here at the top, and I may just be working while it's still too wet. So we're gonna leave that alone for a little bit. Let's look at what's happening down here. Okay, so just cleaning some of that up. All right, I'm gonna work all the way down and around the boat. I'm going to go ahead and just give myself a little bit of a border with the water so that the water border will keep the color from getting into the boat. It'll keep the water out. So hopefully this will help us. You know, water for watercolor is the magic ingredient. Very often we don't use enough of it. It's the water that makes all the magic happen. Okay, that should help us. Now we can just relax a little and let the water run around. Take our time. And you can see with all the water that the paper is getting awfully wet, and that's okay. We can flatten this from the back when we're ready and finish with the work. Now, if I weren't on line with you right now, I'd be picking this up and letting it roll around. I'm gonna go to a bigger brush. I'm gonna go to the mop. The mop will hold a lot of paint. Picking up puddles. I'm a little light, but the good news is I can always go a little darker. I want to point out that the area back here is very light, so it's good that I'm light because up front I can start to get darker. So with that in mind, I'm going back to the number 10, and I'm going to start to see some of these waves and ripples. And this is all just freehand and observation, everyone. Don't let this upset you. And this will dry 20% lighter. So we get to do it again, or we get to clean it up, scrub it out. I'm smelling the paper. But I'm very happy with what's going on here. Remember, as I move back, the ripples get smaller. So I've gone to the smaller brush. I don't want the marks to all be the same shape. As if I used the same brush. Notice the color changes. So there's a lot going on here with the water. It's so fun to see all that really is going on with the water. Okay, we're going to stop with that color and we're going to move into, wow, that really changed my yellow ochre. I think I had some blue on my brush. Okay, while this is nice and damp, let's just start to see the different I want to wait a little to let this dry. So what we're doing now is connecting. We're connecting the man to the boat, to the water. We're pulling paint, we're dragging paint. So I did see a little purple in this corner, and I'm just kind of trying it out to see if I like it. All right, before it dries. Nice and damp. The paper is nice and damp. Okay, so I can see that's starting to dry. I'm going to just see if I can put in a few more of these little waves and ripples. And then I think what we're gonna have to do is just let it dry. We're gonna let that alone. I'm going to take my paper towel, and I saw this, okay? And I'm going to see if it's possible to add. Yeah, that's it. That's it. A little bit. In this corner. All right. The other thing we can do is this sail gets a wash. Again, connecting colors, connecting the subject. And not feeling too overwhelmed with any part of this. Just kind of having fun getting those first colors down. Well, I'll tell you what, we need to stop right here and let it dry, because these are backwashes, which could possibly work very well for us when we get more into the water. So much to see here. Let's finish right now, and we'll talk more about this a little later.